and election year politics. Many of the 11 Republican senators who voted for reform in the past have now backed away from their previous support.
Let's turn now to Alicia Menendez, senior advisor with the progressive think tank, the New Democrat Network, also daughter of Democratic Senator Bob Menendez. Great, thanks for your time tonight.
Hey, Keith.
There were political aspects to this speech from the president today, but what were they?
Well, I think he called Republicans to the table. Listen, this is an issue that a Republican president brought to prominence in 2006. It's a piece of legislation that 23 Republicans, just like the president said, 11 of whom are still sitting in the United States Senate, voted for. So are we supposed to believe that in the last 3 or 4 years, these 11 senators have just changed their mind? Or are they playing politics with an issue that's clearly of importance to the American people? So I think President Obama was, saying to Republicans, I'm going to need you to do this because there's no other way we carry this over the finish line.
And speaking of Republicans, the founder of the group Hispanic Republicans of Texas told the Washington Post after this speech, quote, "This was the speech we wanted." If that was the speech he wanted with his credentials on this, how come it was not the speech John McCain wanted?
I want to say this is an excellent question because that gentleman, Juan Hernandez, was actually the director of Hispanic outreach for John McCain in his 2008 presidential campaign, which shows you just how far McCain has fallen on this issue. Someone who was a champion in 2006. In 2008, wants to win the Republican primary, moves to the right on immigration. Now he has this commercial up about the dang fence. And so we see something that's happening across the Republican Party, which is that they're in disarray. In order to win their primaries, they need to appeal to this subset of their base that's very angry and very activated. But then we see them come into their general, like we're seeing with Meg Whitman, and they're saying, oh, Latinos, I love you. I do care about immigration, and we're supposed to believe it. Just because Latinos speak 2 languages, that doesn't mean that these Republican candidates get to have 2 faces. And so what we're seeing with John McCain, we're seeing with other Republican candidates.
Does that also explain why that statistic that suggests that the border area is safer than it has been in a couple of decades, why we would get this Arizona law now and its copycats to come, or is there even more to it with the Arizona law?
I think there is more to it, but you're right. Listen, we have Jan Brewer saying that this has nothing to do with the border. On top of that, I think we have to be fair that most Arizonans are concerned about their safety. They're worried about their state. And because the federal government refuses to act, they're allowing their local leaders to pass pieces of legislation that are misguided, are going to make Arizonans less safe, less secure, are not going to solve the problem, are going to cost their state a ton of money. And then I think there's another issue here, which is beyond apparent. All of these pieces of legislation are being offered up by Republicans. And so if they're not playing politics with this, I don't know what they're doing.
Alicia Menendez, the senior advisor with the New Democrat Network. Great, thanks for your time. And,
thank you so much, Keith.
And we'll see you again.
Yep.
On health care reform, having failed to block it, the Republicans are back to promising to repeal it entirely, even though that would require